Hi everyone. So in today's video we are going to learn about the roots of the doctors that we discussed about in yesterday's video. So this is the part 2 about doctors. So yesterday we only saw like a word then its meaning, and we did not talk about any root. So maybe you just forgot about some words, but today we will go deeper and explore the roots so you won't forget anything after this one. So yeah, let's start with internist. So yesterday this was our first word. So internist comes from a Latin root internus, which means inside. It's so easy to remember because it's actually what written. Internus means inside. So it's related words are internal and internist. Like internal also comes from internus and then internists as well. And internist is a specialist in internal medicine. The physician examines the internal organs of the body to discover what is happening inside the patient. And yeah, do not confuse internist with interno interni, what we say. Internist, is what we talked about, before. A doctor specializing in internal medicine. But on the other hand, an intern is a type of graduate serving as an apprenticeship, like taking doing a type of job while being in college. So next we have is gynecologist. We already discussed it, but we will discuss it again. So gynecologist comes from a Greek root gyne, which means woman. And then we have logos. So we already discussed logos as well. It means study of science. So formula is gyne plus logos, gynecology, study of women's health and reproductive organs. So yeah, remember, gynecologist is specialist in women's health. Then we have obstetrician. So its root goes back to obstetrics, which in Latin means midwife. So it's kind of unrelated, but please try to remember, recall it. Obstetrics means midwife, and a deeper meaning of this one is to stand before. So why does this mean the so actually, first let's see this. A midwife traditionally stood in front of a woman during labor and assisted in the delivery of the child. So that's why its meaning is midwife. And then we have this obstetrician. And then we also have this suffix ICIAN, Asian, which means expert or specialist. Like we add this suffix after any word, like obstetrician, it becomes the specialist, physician, musician, magician, electrician. So rule is word plus Asian means specialist or expert. And actually, obstetrician means I think we already saw this. Oh, the word is, meaning is not written. Let me tell you. Obstetrician means, the specialist who delivers babies and take care of mother during and immediately after the period of her pregnancy. So this was the work of midwives in back in time. So this word is derived from there. Then we have pediatrician. So pediatrician is taking care of baby, and like in medical treatment, growth and development of baby. So pediatrician comes from the Greek word pedos, which means child. And then we have IATREIA, which is a Greek word which means medical healing. you know Iatricia, then pedos plus this, then pediatrics or pediatrician, medical care of children. A pediatrician specializes in the medical care, growth and development of children or kids. And then we have an important distinction to make here. The Greek pedos is not equal to Latin pedis. Students often confuse these roots, and because the difference is that the Greek root pedos means child, then the words that come out of it are pediatrician and pedagogy. But the Latin root pedis means foot. Examples, the words coming out are pedal, pedestal, pedestrian. the footpath where people can walk, or the pedestrian people walking on the footpath are called pedestrian. Then, despite the similar, kind of spelling of these, uh, in English they are completely unrelated. So keep that in mind. Pediatrician comes from pedos, which means child. Okay. Then we have pedagogy. So pedagogy. Wait a second, please. It comes again from the root pedos, which means child. So pedagogy, agegos is leader, or is means leader or guide. So the formula is pedos plus agegos, which means pedagogy. So leading a child, it was the kind of meaning, but the original meaning here is, like the modern meaning is the principles and method of teaching. you know like there are courses which are done, like pedagogy courses which are done in, if a person is going to become a teacher or something, like history of education, educational psychology, psychology of adolescence, and principles of teaching are included in this subject. And then we have pedagogue, which means pedos plus agogos. Original meaning is teacher, guide of children. Modern use carries a negative meaning actually. It means a narrow minded, dogmatic, old fashioned person, rigid in teaching methods. So use this with caution. Do not, you know, refer to is as a compliment, because the other person might know the meaning. You never know. So then we have demagogue. Demos means people, agogos means leader. Form lies demos plus agogos, demagogue, leader of the people. But the modern use is, kind of used in a negative way. So it's often used for politicians, like politicians who gave gain support by appealing to emotions, fears, and prejudices rather than reasons. Seeks, it's kind of used for political people and parties. And related terms are demagoguery, the practice of using such methods, you know mm, is called demagoguery. Then a root revision is here. Interners means inside, internist. Gyne means woman, gynecologist. Logos, study science, gynecology. Obstetrics, midwife, obstetrician, taking care of the mother and child while delivery and after delivery. Pedos means child, watching over the development of child. In Iatresia means medical healing, like pediatrics, pediatricia. Pedis means foot, agogos means leader, guide, demos means people. So internist means specialist in internal medicine, gynecology specialist in women's health, obstetricians mean specialist in pregnancy and childbirth, pediatrician means specialist in children's health, pedagogy means methods and principles of teaching, pedagogue means a rigid or dogmatic teacher, demagogue a manipulative political leader. So conclusion is that the roots are the fastest way to build vocabulary. Learning one root can lead you to thousands of words, like many words. So in next video we will continue the same part. Like in this video we only covered half the roots, uh, root of only half the professionals that we covered in the last video. So in the next video we will cover all of them. Okay, so bye, thank you so much.